We back, y'all. We are back. I have not been. Look at these notes, man. I have not had this many notes for the challenge ever. Ever. 3 for 3 back to back. And this was the best episode of the season. I genuinely think I might be able to finally finish the season with recap. This episode is good. These last 3 episodes have been really, really good. This episode felt like old vintage challenge. And of course, it happened at the hands of Veronica. Amazing episode. I've been so excited to get over here and talk about it because I have been typing, pausing, rewinding. I haven't done that watching the challenge in so long. When I take notes watching the show with the challenge, I don't even have to rewind anything because it's so boring. Entertainment. There was key players activated. Frank, Veronica, Shane, Devin, Nany, Katie, Melissa, Nicole. She wasn't activated, but she caused some mess. Amber even got activated. Like, come on. This is the type of shit I want to see. But yeah, I'm not going to waste too much time because I'm ready to get into it. So y'all make sure to subscribe if you are new here. Please do that. It's free of charge. Thumbs up the video as well. That helps out as well. It's free. It helps put me in the algorithm. Get more people over so we can have conversations down there in the comments. And also drop a comment. But let's go. Let's go. All right, so we get back with Dario and Ashley. They're pretty much discussing the vote flip, and Ashley feels like somebody threw them out as a scapegoat. Pretty much like, okay, let's throw out Dario and Ashley and see if people vote on it. But the house, they're essentially trying to figure out who this they is, because as we know with the last one, when TJ called out Devin asking like, who is they, who's the house vote, there was no name put on it. So they're trying to figure out who that name is. Some think it's Frank, some think it's Amber, some think it's Shane. It was Veronica. Veronica was the one running around causing all this turmoil. But Dario ends up saying, essentially to Ashley, be open-minded to making moves that benefit them as a team. And he also then says Frank and Sam are their biggest allies in the game, but Frank also has allies with other people that they're not necessarily working with, and they don't know where they stand with them. But we then move to a scene with Amber and Melissa. Melissa's tripping out because she got Nicole as a partner. She knows Nicole has loose lips. Nicole is hard to control. And when you got somebody like her attached to you, you are attached to a sinking ship. And it's just a matter of time before that ship starts to sink. But she got Big T, who just got eliminated. That was her number one ally in the game. And now she's stuck with Amber. That's the only person that she has left as an ally. And Amber is super emotional, and that's not a good ally to have either. But Amber is pretty much telling her about what Corey had told her before he left. Telling her that they is Veronica, or telling him that Veronica and Katie can't be trusted. And she says that they is Frank and Veronica. And she says the reason why she feels that is because they've been scheming and she's been seeing them scheming, and she feels like she's been betrayed. And she's trying to rally votes against Frank and Veronica, which essentially is everybody but those two teams and Adam and Steve. So everybody else is the numbers that she thinks she has. You got Shane and Devin where you don't really know. Davin's more so in Amber's camp than Shane is. We'll get to it. We'll get to it. But the next day, you got Turbo, Nany, and Devin having a little moment where they're talking. And Davin's talking about how working with Shane has been difficult because their allies are on two separate sides of the house. And we also find out that Devin and Nany are bonded together. They've bonded a lot throughout this season. And she trusts them a lot, Nany and Turbo. Obviously, we know Devin and Turbo had a pre-existing friendship from War of the Worlds 1, but her and Nany have gotten closer this season. Nany, I tweeted it. If Devin loves you, you all right with me. You all right with me. You and them horse teeth. But Veronica and Frank, they're having a conversation, and these two together, that's just a recipe for good TV. Like Frank and Veronica, two messy people, two politically smart players in the game. Love it. Veronica ends up saying that they need to convince people that it's in their best interest to get out people who are performing the best, and it'll give them a better shot at winning the next challenge at the next missions. Duh, smart. Anybody with a brain would think that way. I would think that way too. I would want to have weaker people with me at the final to make it easier for me to win. That's essentially what they're saying. Obviously, Veronica would say that because Veronica and Katie on paper, physically in terms of like endurance and having to actually run a final, it'll be harder for them against a Fessy and Amber or a Dario and Ashley as opposed to a Frank and Sam, where Frank is very, very fit And Frank has won, even though Sam has won too. But Frank is the stronger player all around. Like, Frank is smart and he's physically fit. Sam is smart socially, but the physicality, as we've seen, has been a problem. Where even though she's started to pick it up, we've seen her starting to really put in the work. But that's essentially where they're at. And Shane is sitting there with them, and he's talking about how Veronica essentially, and he's saying this in his confessionals, that she has an alliance with 3 teams that pretty much protect her. Not really him. But Frank and Sam are also included in those people that she has as numbers. But Shane essentially says they've kind of come in and replaced some of them in the ranks, and him and Devin are on the outs in regards to Veronica's number 1s and number 2s and number 3s. So Shane essentially says Fessy and Amber is the best choice because they have the least connections. Veronica says that another team that we're thinking about is also in your room. They're thinking about Nany and Turbo, which we, as I just told y'all, Devin is close to Nany and Turbo. So Shane obviously would not want that to be the target because that's the number that y'all have, thanks to Devin. So I wouldn't want that either. Of course, Shane doesn't want that, but we'll get to it. Shane is trying to get to the final. He says playing the middle is what I want to do right now. I want to have everything that I want to have happen, but I don't want to be the one to do it. AKA, I don't want to put the blood on my hands and have my hands dirty. So he wants everybody else to do it. So Shane essentially says Nany and Turbo are working with them, but Veronica and Frank, they can make the move to make the enemy out of them because he ain't doing it. Smart Shane. And it's crazy because I did not like Shane at all because you already know my allegiance is with Devin. But Shane is entertaining this season. He's always been entertaining, but the stuff with Devin has not been. But this, Shane is good TV. Good TV. But Frank says essentially that he feels safe working with Katie and Veronica, but long term he needs threats out and also needs to convince people that Adam and Steve got to go. Frank is smart because he knows Adam and Steve are Veronica and Katie's number 1s. Not only that, they are probably the strongest pair here, as we've seen. They done kicked out probably 4 teams back to back to back. And they both, if I'm remembering correctly, were in the final. Adam, you let me know. Adam, be in the comments. Shout out to Adam. Let me know because I didn't finish watching season 4. But regardless, they're a strong team. Also, with them 2 being gone, that makes that gives an opening for Frank and Sam to be Veronica and Katie's number 1. Frank is smart. But we get to the mission. It's not a star challenge because obviously all 4 of the stars are currently occupied. If you win, you're safe from the elimination. If you don't have a star, you can choose to go into the elimination. But the mission today is called Blow Your Mind. They have 8 lanes in a field for each team. They'll start on opposing sides. There's dotted puzzle stations on each side. They have to memorize what's on the puzzle. They have to hit a detonator. Once they hit the detonator, it's going to dismantle everything that's on the puzzle. Your partner can't see it, and you won't be able to see it either. So once you hit it, it's gone. You better remember everything. But they'll continue to do that all the way till they get to the middle, which they'll then solve the puzzle, and the first team that finishes wins, and they're safe from elimination. As you all know, we blow through it. I ain't really talking too much about it. But Dario, at the end, when everybody's trying to figure out the puzzle, he starts strategically yelling check because obviously when you hear somebody yelling check, you start speeding up because you're like, oh shit, they're almost done. We need to start picking it up, which then fucks up your own mental because you're rushing. You're not paying attention. You don't really know if you got everything done. You're just trying to beat that person. So Dario and Ashley were nowhere near done, but he starts yelling check. And of course, what he said was going to happen happened. Other people start screaming check, check, check and start fucking up. And, of course, Nicole and Melissa were the ones doing it. But Veronica and Shane, they're essentially spearheading their teams. Veronica and Katie and Shane and Devin. Devin is essentially doing and remembering everything that she needs to remember, but Shane is pretty much putting everything in place. Veronica's over there doing the same thing with Katie. Shane feels good with Veronica, but he knows Frank is getting too close to Veronica, which makes him nervous, and he knows that it needs to be broken up, and the only way that's going to happen is if him and Devin win this mission. But we get to the finishing, and the top two teams was Veronica and Katie and Shane and Devin. Good job, Devin. But Veronica and Katie won, and they have power. I was excited. Even though I wanted Shane and Devin to win because Devin... But Veronica and Katie that's not bad at all. That's good TV. I knew once Veronica's name was involved, especially Katie, I said, this is about to be good. And sure enough, it was. But we get back to the house. Frank, Katie, and Veronica. This is a trio, boy. This is a trio. I need to see them back every season. I don't like seeing people come back every season. But these three don't come back every season, which is why it's good when they're here. But they're also good TV. All three of them. Veronica, Katie, and Frank, every time they've been on TV, they've delivered. So, them three strategizing great. But Frank ends up saying that Ashley and Dario, Nany and Turbo, and Fessy and Amber, those are the strong teams. The other two are stronger than Ashley and Dario. And they don't know, essentially, if they have the numbers to get out a strong team, but that's essentially what they want to do. Katie ends up saying, that would put a target on me and Veronica because if Fessy and Amber, who are more than likely the team that would come back, they can come back and swing at us. Veronica says, essentially, we got to rely on our numbers. We all have to stick together, and she's including Shane and Devin into those numbers with Adam and Steve, and of course, Frank and Sam. So that's 4. Essentially, you need to have 4 teams on your side to be the majority. We'll get to it. We get a scene back with Devin and Nany. They're in there strategizing, and Nany knows that she needs to get Frank and Sam's name down as the house vote. Devin is all for it. Devin says, at this point in the game, I need a star. And I thrive in eliminations. As we know, Devin does thrive in eliminations. That's her strong point. She's like, I want to say 5-2. Devin be kicking it. The last time she was on, she was flinging the motherfuckers up out of here. She didn't even get eliminated. She got purged, which I'm mad about. She got purged right before the final. Devin would have won. In my mind. But she knows. She's like, essentially, like, if it's physical, me and Shane can beat them. I believe so as well. But partying. They get to party and they go out. This is where it got funny. Shane is happy that Frank and Sam's name is kind of being thrown out now. Everybody's been talking about it. But he knows that he needs to convince Nicole and Melissa because that is the swing vote at this point. And he gets to work on them. Pretty much saying, like, Frank and Sam, their name is out here. We pretty much are telling you, stand in line with us, do what I say, don't say nothing to Katie and Veronica. I said, you talking to Nicole, the one whose lips are loose as shit. That bitch can't hold water. Let me not call her a bitch. But that girl can't hold water. But he ends up saying that Katie and Veronica don't know. Pretty much stating, like, I'm telling you this right now. He's not telling them that it's not solidified. He's hoping and getting it across to make it seem like it's solidified so that they don't even question it. But he's like, don't tell Katie and Veronica. Once the house vote is done, we'll clue them in. AKA, we need you to get this done here. And then once it happens, we can deal with the fallout. And he's like, y'all aren't going in if y'all do this. Nicole and Melissa eating it up. They like, okay, we're not going in this elimination. I'm cool. And Nicole said, I need another drink. But it's funny because all the teams that Veronica is possibly choosing between to throw in, they're all having a ball. Dancing, drinking, doing all types of shit. And of course, Veronica picked up on it. I was like, this girl still got this shit. Like, Veronica has always been smart. And she ain't lost touch. Because she immediately realized these teams are too happy. Nobody's talking to me and Katie. And we're the ones with power. Which, why would you not be talking to us if you're trying to figure out, okay, well, I hope that you don't put me in. So if you're not talking to me, there's already a plan in motion to where you feel safe and feel like you got the numbers. She picked up on that shit immediately. When she realized there's got to be a plan to get Frank and Sam in and they got to get down to the bottom of it. I said, damn, she picked that shit out quick because that's exactly what it was. But back at the house, Nicole is in the room with Katie and Frank is standing outside. Well, not standing outside, but he's at the door frame in the room with them. And Katie says, whatever the rumor is, it's not going to be Frank and Sam. So basically, she's telling her, you wasting your time voting for them, pretty much trying to, like, scare Nicole, which it works. But Veronica comes in, and she's saying, like, if you're a part of this house vote to throw in Frank and Sam, I would think about throwing you in, pretty much threatening her. You do that shit, you going to go in there. And Nicole, of course, is scared, asking, like, who else are you close to in this game, talking to Veronica. And Veronica says Shane. Nicole and them loose lips said, go talk to your source. Frank says, so he brought it up. Loose lips start spilling the beans. Nicole is spilling the beans. I said, that's your fault, Shane. But Frank ends up saying that he wants to say something. And Veronica's like, no, don't do it. But Shane is pretty much trying to split them up. And that's pretty much what she told him. Veronica ends up saying that she loves Shane. And she said this in her confessionals. I love Shane, but this kind of insults and it upsets me that he's sitting here trying to break up my numbers to ruin my plan. Which obviously, as we know, they've been friends for 20 years. So obviously and they've been like this. Like, if you watch the challenge, you know these two have been like this for 20 years. None of this. So it's like, damn, the first time they kind of like really working against each other at this point. But Veronica ends up saying, I want you to she start strong arming, cussing at Nicole. I was like, this is the challenge. We finally back getting challenge vibes, and of course it's an OG. Veronica said, I want you to show your fucking cards. Like, you show me that you got loyalty to me. She all up in her face. I want you to reveal them cards right now. And Nicole obviously is scared, but Melissa then joins them. Katie ends up asking Melissa if she's thinking about throwing in Sam and Veronica. Obviously, she's going to ask her because that's half of the duo. The thing is with Nicole and Melissa, out of all the duos, they're the most dysfunctional duo. When I say dysfunctional, both of them can go rogue. Melissa can do what she wants. Nicole can do what she wants. So essentially, as the house knows, they're the swing vote. There's a lot of numbers on one side. There's a lot of numbers on this side. Like I said, you need to have 4. So they're the swing vote. So you got to get to these 2, obviously, as Shane did before. But Melissa ends up saying, I don't care who goes in. No offense to y'all, but I don't care who goes in as long as it's not me. I'd have been Melissa. She said, I just need to make sure I get my star. Katie says, okay, so do you want to go in? Basically, you want to go and get your star. And Melissa says, I just need to see what the elimination is. Veronica being Veronica. She says, you don't get to do that. I do. Pretty much telling her, like, you talking about I want to see what no. You give me the answer I want to know now. That's what it is. And Melissa being Melissa says, I know that, but you don't have to give me all this attitude. Melissa, well, you already know Melissa will hit you. And Veronica's already been hit before. If you don't know, go watch, what was it, The Ruins? With Tanya. But Melissa ends up saying that she feels like Veronica and Frank, she's saying this in her confessionals, that they were behind Big T's elimination. They were. And she can't be controlled. Essentially, like, you trying to control me, but you can't control me. Melissa ends up telling them that she was told that Frank and Veronica were they. And Frank's like, I've been playing a transparent game to get out other teams that are better than ours. And Veronica and Katie are sitting there co-signing it. Frank, I'm trying to think, has Frank really been playing a transparent game? Taking out the fact that we're watching it on TV. No. Frank has been playing a messy game, which is why I love it. I love it. But Frank is pretty much already knowing that Shane was the one that was doing it, and Shane is coming for him. And he knows that he can't react to it because if he does, it'll rile Shane up even more. But Nicole promises to keep her mouth shut. I said, okay, yeah. But Melissa and Nicole, they have a separate conversation individually. Nicole is pretty much saying that she knows for a fact that Veronica wouldn't fuck her over. You are a chess piece in Veronica's game. She is using you. Veronica don't care about you. Veronica cares about winning, as she should. You're just a number for the moment. The minute Veronica gets a chance to get your ass up out of here, you gone. Veronica ain't got no loyalty to you. But Melissa ends up saying what I pretty much said. You can't be trusting everybody. Melissa's smart. She's the smart part of this duo. She's like, you can't be trusting everybody. Like, I understand you feel like you trust her right now because she's saying this shit to you, but like, Melissa don't trust them, as she shouldn't. But Nicole does, and Nicole wants to vote out her own numbers, which is crazy. She wants to vote with them and vote Amber and Fessy out, which is a number for them. Crazy. But it's just a testament to how brilliant Veronica is. Like, she chef's kiss. Amber and Fessy, they start counting their numbers, and Fessy's asking her if she thinks that Melissa and Nicole are solid with voting with them. And Amber, of course, says yes, because Amber is gullible. She says, whatever Melissa says, Nicole will do. I was like, okay. But we get to the next day. Amber's telling Shane and Devin and Melissa that they need their votes. Like, Amber and Fessy need their votes. And Devin says, like, the 4 of us, we just have to stay solid. And Melissa, you're the swing vote. Melissa says, I have my mind set up on what I want to do. I want to vote with y'all, but it's Nicole. She's like, I'm planning on speaking over Nicole. Basically, as we all know and have seen in the past, whoever in the team speaks their vote first essentially is the vote that is being written down. So that's what she's trying to do because she knows she can't really convince Nicole. But we get to the house vote. TJ starts talking and Amber butts in. I said, who is this Amber? Amber says, I don't know why you didn't let us speak because I got some shit to say. I said, who the fuck is this? Because it ain't the Amber that I know, but I love this Amber now. If she says, I found out who is they, and it's Frank. And I'm like, it's not, but it's really Veronica, but okay. But Frank says it's not him. Amber says, I thought that you were on the same side with me. Yeah, of course you did, Amber. Of course you did. But Frank says, can you stop? Like, this is all made up. And Amber says, you're the one that's spreading the lies. Frank says, you just said that you weren't going to put my business out here, and here you are doing this. And Amber ends up throwing Melissa under the bus and says that Melissa came to her and told her that he was the rat. Shane is sitting there smirking, eating it up, knowing that all this mess that he done started is coming to a head in his own Frank's. But Amber is talking about it hurts. We know, Amber, you play too emotionally. But Frank says, I thought that you were on my side too, pretty much trying to play reverse psychology on her. But Amber ends up saying, like, I can't wait for people to see how this plays out. He's the biggest snake in this house. Fessy ends up pretty much clocking Amber's weaknesses. He says she plays the game too emotional, and that's what essentially ends up getting her kicked out of the game. Foreshadow. But they start voting. Nany and Turbo follow suit, vote Frank and Sam. That's one for Frank and Sam. They end up voting for Amber and Fessy. That's one for Amber and Fessy. Amber and Fessy end up voting for Frank and Sam. That's two for them. Ashley and Dario. Ashley gets to go on this speech about how obviously she's connected to Frank and Sam. They did the real world together. Obviously. But TJ cuts them off. Dario ends up saying we're voting for Amber and Fessy. That's 2-2. Where am I at? Amber then says that she feels hurt, obviously, because her and Ashley have gotten close. You know how quickly Amber bonds with people that are not your friends, but you want them to be. But we get to Devin and Shane. Devin says Frank and Sam. Frank was rallying votes to try and get me and Shane out. Frank starts going off. And Shane is like, I support my partner. What she said is what I said. So that's 3 for Shane. And is this the right one? 3 for Shane and Shane and Frank. But Frank is going off, and Devin says, I don't do well with threats. As we know, she don't. Even though she ain't cussing and acting up, because they ain't really challenged her right now, Devin is still Devin at the core. You're not about to punk her. But Frank says who's threatening you is just made up at this point. So he's trying to vouch for himself. Adam and Steve vote for Fessy and Amber. It's 3-3. Like I said, you need 4 votes. It's down to who? Melissa and Nicole. Melissa, she don't even do what I was expecting her to do. I was like, Melissa about to just say Frank and Sam, but she ain't do it. She says she's been torn all day and she was convinced Frank was they, but now she don't even know what to believe. Nicole ends up speaking up and says they're going to vote for Amber and Fessy, and she agreed. I said, oh, shit. And they show a flashback of them deliberating, and Melissa just could not get through to her. And Nicole says essentially that she did that because she don't want to get Veronica mad, because obviously she knows Veronica will retaliate immediately and they will go into that elimination and probably lose. But Melissa's crying. Nicole just would not listen to her, like I said. But Amber pretty much says at this point, I'm ready to go get my star. She's got a shaky voice, borderline about to cry, saying that she's fighting for her family and she needs the money. Fessy and Amber, they're the house vote. Amber goes storming off, so they disperse. Frank is now getting ready to go confront Shane. Good TV. Like, thank you. We need this. And these two together, Frank versus Shane, needed on TV every single season. Because just mess and mess. You got mess and mess, mess and mess at each other. Because they both played the same, which is funny. But he confronts Shane, like, what the fuck are you doing? And Shane's like, go ask Devin. Frank says she won't speak to me. Shane says she was trying to. I said exactly. But Frank says I'm not going to be scapegoated for everything because I'm smart and I know how to play this game. Shane ends up saying, we're seeing a Frank from 12 years ago. Even though we are not seeing that same Frank, glimmers of it. Like, he's still Frank at the end of the day. He gonna tweak out. When it's not going his way, he gonna tweak out. But Shane is sitting there enjoying the show because Frank is going off and Shane's sitting there smirking. But Shane says, this is the Frank that I want to see. This is my type of man. That shit had me weak. But we get to the elimination. We got Veronica and Katie voting in Nany and Turbo against Amber and Fessy. I said, this is Veronica in prime form. Throwing up Nany against Amber. Like, Nany's sitting there talking about she wants to start a family with her fiance, Casey, her then fiance. But we get to the elimination. It's called Scratch Up. It's pretty much a board. You know the scratch offs. That's basically what it is in large form. There's an image underneath it. They have to recreate the image at the solving station, and the first team to finish wins. And Turbo and Nany kicked their asses, kicked the shit out of them. But Turbo being Turbo, pissed off at the end of it. Talking about, I want to fuck them up. Talking about pussy chickens in his confessionals. He started throwing shit. Nany trying to calm him down. But they protected their star. Amber and Fessy have gotten eliminated, and they're on good terms now. They're no longer rivals. Amber sitting there talking about he's family to her now. Again, Amber, you got to stop calling people family and best friends that quick. Yes, y'all are on better terms right now, but come on, you trust him too quick. Because Fessy, we found out that he got a girlfriend at home, which we know Fessy ain't known to come on the show with a girl and actually be faithful, and it seems like he had been. So Fessy kind of is going the Corey route because he was pretty calm the entire season. No messy Fessy was here. But Shane and Veronica, they close out the episode going at it. Shane says, I can't give you no information no more because you ran to Frank and told him that information. And she's like, no, I didn't. Veronica says, like, I essentially side with his opinion. She's saying this in the confessionals. She says, I work with both of them because I do love Shane. That's still my friend. But I'm also working with Frank. But I tend to side with Frank's opinion more so than Shane's. I'm like, ooh, that's telling. But she then tells Shane, like, if you're thinking that I would choose him over you, you need to stop thinking that now. Shane says, I don't believe it. I said, ooh, because the face Veronica made was like, really? But Shane is worried about their friendship. He's like, I never thought I'd see the day where my friendship with Veronica would crack over this game. But Frank ends up, we finish with Frank, looking like an evil genius. He says, if anybody think they got control in this game over me, they're wrong, because I'm in everybody's ear, and they showed a flashback of him in everybody's ear. Frank is good TV. But next week, it looks even better. We got more fights. You got Veronica and Frank working together. Frank versus Shane again. Love it. Melissa versus Turbo, and Nany going nuts. It's too early for this shit. Good TV. What a good episode, y'all. A good episode. I have not had an episode of The Challenge that I felt this good about in a while. And we're at episode 7, y'all. I think we might have 11 or 12 episodes. Grant might finally finish the season. But if you got this far and have not thumbs up the video already, do it now. If you haven't subscribed, do that now. We're on the road to 10K. Come join the family. And drop a comment down below. I want to hear y'all's thoughts. But I'll see y'all next week because this shit was good.